Hey everybody, welcome back to another week of Slingin Dirt TV. Man, we got a lot of stuff to cover. 4 things that we are going to go into is, hey, new drivers coming into the sport. Oh boy.
Especially the ones that think they're going to come out and they're going to just kick everybody's ass, yeah.
Yeah, just wow.
After that, we got, what do you guys think about tracks canceling the races a week in advance?
Boy, this is going to get some people talking.
It very well could.
Yep. We're going to have our tech tip.
And then after that, the one and only Jamie Songer makes his presence again.
Again. Hey, how did everybody's updates do last week? There was quite a few of them.
I seen quite a few of them. I didn't really have time to keep up on it, but
yeah, I don't think anybody did.
I do know Jamie had some choice words for us once he found out what we did.
So, tell you what, stay tuned. It's Slingin Dirt TV. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to Slingin Dirt. I'm Buddy Ray. You're,
I'm just a nobody.
This is nobody.
I'm Matt Dennis, guys.
So let's get to it. We were talking right before the show started. New drivers getting into the sport. You know what? At times, everybody likes to see the new cars, the new wraps. They like to see if people are jumping up a class. Did somebody get a toter home? Did somebody turn into a promoter at a racetrack? In some ways, the new drivers are almost a spectacle in themselves. And you know what I'm talking about.
And they don't even have to be 14, 15, 16, or 40 or 50. It's just a new driver. And some of them come in with this great big ego that they're Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson. I'm going to go out and beat every one of you.
You know, when we were at Butler County here a few weeks ago, I don't think he was necessarily new, but he comes up to me. He drives a white number 42 car. He comes up to me and goes, "But I love watching the Slingin Dirt and you and Matt, and I'm going to move to the inside so you can get around me on the start." We were talking about this before the show, and I was just like, dude, go ahead and race. What I don't like in the new drivers are the ones that think they're the Jimmy Johnson, the Tony Stewarts, the Casey Canes of the world. They go out there, and a lot of times they can cause a lot of bad things on the track. Now, Andrew Kaziski said something here about 4 or 5 years ago, and I thought this really showed he was a class act. You know, when he was new into the late models, was he setting the world on fire? No. Did he know he was going to set the world on fire? No. Did he know? He wasn't. He didn't know anything. So what he did is he went up to every driver, shook their hand, introduced himself to them, and said, "If I get into you, I don't mean to. I'm just a newbie. I'm new to the late models."
Right. He apologized in advance for something that may or may not happen.
You know, and even if you're not a new driver to the sport, if I go to EIO Speedway in some state south of here, Oklahoma, Texas, or whatever, I'm going to walk around like I always do, and I'm going to introduce myself to the drivers. Hey, I'm not down here to tear anything up. What can you tell me about the track? Is there other drivers I need to be aware of? What's a good entry spot in the corner? What's a good exit in the corner? Get to know stuff like that. In my experience, a lot of the veteran racers, the guys that have been around for a long time, really give respect to the new drivers when they do that.
Right, and that's true. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a veteran driver or not, but for most drivers, if you walk up, "Hey, my name's so-and-so," like you said, I'm not here very often, first time here, second time here, some advice, some tips, it goes a long ways with a lot of drivers. It really does.
I want to ask you a question on this. I kind of got this idea, I got this idea from NASCAR several years ago. We put a lot of money into these cars, and it doesn't matter what class. Sport compact, a late model. Now, obviously late models are way more expensive than sport compacts, but even sport compacts, guys can dump a lot of money into them. With that being said, new drivers, if you've never raced on dirt before, or you've never raced at that track before, however you want to look at it, I like NASCAR's idea at the cup level where you put a yellow bumper on the car. Do you think that would help the sport of dirt track driving? I'm sorry, I know we have the candy apple powder coated chassis, we got the painted chassis, the fancy wraps, but if we put a bright yellow bumper on the back of the car to signify that this is a rookie new into the sport, do you think that would help?
Yeah, I think that'd help out quite a bit. And it doesn't even have to be the bumper. It could be the spoiler, the sail panel, just something on the back of the car. Because not all cars have spoilers and rear panels and things like that, but something on the rear of the car, I can see the benefit in it. But then the problem is, well, is that a part of your wrap, buddy Ray, or is that because you're a rookie? Because so many guys are using so many bright colors now.
Right, they're using bright colors, but look at the tail section of a hobby stock. On the bottom of the tail section, where the quote-unquote imprint of the bumper would be, you could have that tail section any color you want, but just that part of the bumper is yellow with the black lettering rookie. Problem solved. On your sport mods, I got to thinking about this because this was a good point. If the whole car is powder coated the powder coated chassis is yellow, that's the colors of what I'm trying to say. Take that bumper, paint it black, just the bumper, the rear bumper. But where the rear bumper is painted black, you would do the middle 2/3 of it yellow. So that way the bumper sticks out against the chassis, but then you have the yellow inside the bumper, problem solved. I mean, you can't read letters this tall in the back of the bumper too, but I know it's not going to look right, but you got to earn your stripes a little bit.
Right.
But if I don't know, you take some really good drivers, and I could list a million of them, but I've seen a lot of drivers, they will literally get their front bumper right up on the back bumper of somebody, not realizing that this is a brand new rookie.
That's not going to know how to handle the situation if they get a little bit squirrely. So, you're coming around turn 3, you're nose to tail, like most of the promoters want us on the start, and you get this guy squirrely and all of a sudden he spins out not knowing what to do. Well, guess what? You just destroyed your car and you probably just destroyed 2 or 3 cars in the back. And that brings up a good point for me is if you're a rookie, there's nothing wrong with defaulting to the rear for a feature.
I was wondering how soon you and I go into that.
You don't have the experience. Yeah, you need to start in the center of the pack, front of the pack if you can, at some point.
Yeah.
But especially your first 3, 4, 5 nights until you're comfortable, go ahead and default to the rear. There's no harm in it. People aren't going to make fun of you for it.
I would never make fun. If somebody came up to me and said, "Well, I'm supposed to start on the nose, up on the pole in front row, but I'm going to go to the rear," I am never going to make fun of that guy. If anything, I'm going to shake his hand as like, well, I give you a lot of respect. And it doesn't matter if it's your first night or your first season, or if you've been in the sport for 20 years. At some point, you're going to start in the back anyways. So there's no shame in starting in the back, especially if you're new. If you're new, start in the back. The one thing I have heard from people is, you look at the late models, your limited late models, your modifieds, limited modifieds. And when I say limited late models, there's a million different varieties. Yeah. Same thing with modified.
Take your pick.
And everybody's like, "Well, it's not hard to drive one of these things. I could probably jump in it and do it in about 4 weeks." No.
There's a reason I've never drove a car, and it's because I don't have the patience to take to learn it.
No,
I can fix any car. I have no desire to drive a car.
I've told a lot of people, to each their own. Everybody's going to say the sport compacts are hard, the hobby stocks are hard, the late models are hard, the modifieds are hard. I've had by far and away, across the board, and you know what I'm like when I ask people. I always get a general base, because I try to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges, but I've gone over a large base of people that have driven late models, modifieds, and everything underneath of them. And everybody I've talked to said by far the modifieds were some of the hardest cars to drive, because you got all that horsepower, that skinny little hockey puck of a tire, and then you get into the B mods, Well, those cars are just so darn tight anyways, they just want to drive towards the wall. Now, I'm not saying that the stock cars and hobby stocks and sport compacts are easy. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm not going to mention names, but there's one guy I know that, well, I only need 3 or 4 weeks, bud, and I'll have it down pat. And I'm like, there's guys who've been doing this for 10 years.
And they're still working on it.
They're still working on it. I'm one of them, and I'm 20 years into it.
I know a guy, he was a hobby stock racer, and this has been 5 or 6 years ago, and he was decent. I'm not gonna say the best or the worst, but respectful out there.
Yeah.
Got the notion he's moving to B mods. Great, wants to move up, no problem. Had no idea what he was getting into because of the handling.
Yeah.
And there was a handful of people that tried to give him advice on how to get the car to turn, how to drive it, how to steer it, what to do when it gets up on the bars. And I don't know if he wasn't paying attention or if he just had a brain fart or what, but the car he borrowed wound up at the frame shop to get fixed because it's a whole different atmosphere between a G-body car, a hobby stock, a stock car, and then your mods and late models.
Oh, yeah. I remember the fall of '03. I'm at Blackbird Bend Speedway out of Ottawa, Iowa. I had just come out of the hobby stocks. I go into the B mods. I come off the track. Dad goes, "What'd you think, son?" Oh boy, it's nothing like a hobby stock. I mean, it takes a modified driving to me. I've done more modified driving than any other class, and modified driving is all about finesse. All about finesse. And I would imagine that the late models are going to be a lot of finesse too, but the modifieds is all about finesse. But the new drivers, take it easy. Go up to the experienced drivers, get some tips on them, stuff like that. The one thing I do want to add before we go to break here is new drivers. And I've seen this, and I know you've seen this a million times, Matt. The new drivers come to the sport, they want to learn so much. So here's what they do. Matt, I've got me a 2005 Jet mod. It's a B mod. What do? So they're going to talk to you. But then as soon as they get done talking to you, they're going to go right 4 stalls down, and they're going to go talk to this guy. Well, I got me a, well, what do you think I should do? And all of a sudden, you got 50 people.
With 49 different answers.
Yeah. So how do you decipher what works?
And that's something you don't specifically keep one other driver in mind for help. Ask everybody. And don't listen to exactly what everybody says. But if the majority sway one way or one other way, or take all the advice you can get.
I kind of do what you said.
Help them take the advice to go in the right direction, but don't do what they're telling you exactly because you don't drive the way they do.
Now, I do want to say I talked to an experienced driver out of Omaha here. This guy's driven late models, modifieds, B mods, stock cars, Porky. You know who I'm talking about.
I know Porky very well.
Very well. So I was talking to Pork. I'm not going to mention names, but his nickname's Porky. He said something that really rang true. If you want to run top 5, go talk to the top 5 teams. You want to go run 15th, go talk to the 15th place teams. Just keep in mind, those top 5 teams are not liable to tell you every little tips and tricks out there.
That's true.
That's true. Now, you can get that information, but you got to earn the respect to get that information. There's a lot of respect that goes on in this sport. Now, here's what I do. I don't do, now you've known me for a long time, and I used to be the guy that asked 50 different people and did it 49 wrong ways. I mean, it's the... Yep. But now I do exactly what you said. I talk to everybody. Everybody knows me in dirt track racing as the world's biggest social butterfly when it comes to drivers. So I'll be talking to this person, I'll be talking to that person. If I talk to 20 different people and 15 of them are telling me within 1 or 2 pounds to run a certain amount of bite, I'm listening.
Right.
But if I've got 20 different people I'm talking to and 18 different versions of how much bite to run,
yeah, you might as well just figure this one out on your own.
Yeah, keep that in mind. The one thing I will tell new drivers, especially the people that don't have a car, but they know they're going to be getting in, you know, here it is 2016, 2017, you're planning on, you know, getting into a B mod or a hobby stock or sport compact, but you've never done this before, literally get on a pit crew and go wrench on a car for one season. It's real easy to sit there and go, oh man, look at that sport compact. Man, they say those things can be claimed for $1,500 at the track. So people have this automatic preconceived notion that a sport compact's only worth $1,500. Nothing could be further from the truth. And it's real easy to see the quote unquote, as I call it, the fame and fortune syndrome of race car driving. You know, well, this guy's getting interviewed and look at those flashy suits and look at that great rap. What they don't see is the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into the shop.
You don't win the race on the track, you win the race in the shop.
You win the race in the shop, but a lot of people getting into the sport, they underestimate how expensive the sport is too, in any class. I had a guy 3 years ago, I'll never forget this, I'm at Denison. He's driving out of Glenwood. I get to the track, he goes, oh my God, I cannot believe how expensive it was getting here just in fuel. And I'm like, yeah? Well, now I gotta go buy fuel for the car. Yeah, welcome to dirt track racing. You're preaching to the choir. So, yeah, dirt track driving, you know, or any form of motorsports, even if it's drag racing, hill climbing, rally racing, whatever. If you're a new driver, like I said, go talk to the promoters, go talk to the seasoned drivers. We'll help anybody, but you got to earn our respect a little bit. And I know the respect is a two-way street. So I tell you what, if you have dealt with a new driver, give us some feedback. What do you expect out of a new driver? What do you like to see in a new driver? There's new drivers watching the show. There's new drivers to be watching the show here in Slingin Dirt. What advice do you have from them? So I tell you what, we're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back here on Slingin Dirt.
Hey guys, I'm Jeff with DriveDirtCars.com. Does your current race operation look like this? Well, if it does, give us a call at 815-990-2657. We're actually financing Harris race cars and CMC crate motor connection crate motors for your racing operation. Our payments range anywhere from $200 to $350 a month. If you'd like to get a new motor or you'd like to get a new chassis, give us a call, 815-990-2657.
Welcome back to Slingin Dirt TV. Let's just get to it. Here's this week's driver interview, the driver Nick Downs out of Illinois. Here's Mr. Downs. Hey everybody, welcome back to Slingin Dirt TV. Finally, looks like the entire race team's got Jeff Gear doing something. So, well, looky there, Jeff Gear just walked off camera. So, tell you what, we probably got the fastest one of the bunch here.
I don't know about that.
Nick Downs, driver of the 35 IMCA Pierce car?
Yes, sir.
Wow, you don't see a lot of Pierce cars, at least not in my neck of the woods.
No, they're pretty much Southern Illinois, kind of up in Ohio, kind of a popular UMP kind of car.
UMP
so
stuff.
we're trying a little something different with the IMCA thing, do something not everybody else does.
Now, where all do y'all race at?
Last year, did a little bit of Darlington, did a little Farley, went to a place for a special, Grant County in Lancaster, Wisconsin. They just do specials up there pretty much. Kind of just go wherever and whenever for the most part.
How long have you been racing now?
16 years total, but you know, when I first started out, just did a couple nights a year. And when I finally moved into a hobby stock car, it was the first time I run for a full season for points. Did that at Freeport. Run Freeport from 2005 to 2009 full time. And then I got a late model. Kind of started hitting a few different places, just running back to kind of 4 or 5 nights a year. Went back to Freeport for their final year. They closed 2011, ended up being the track champion on late model. Then there was no more open late models, so made it an IMCA late model. kind of headed out to Farley and Dubuque mainly, just kind of 2 times a year, and then
Race against Todd Cooney and some of those guys.
Yep. I never really attempted any of the Deary shows. Corn Belt come to Lafayette County, so I took the IMCA late model, tried to put it up against the open cars, and
How'd that work out?
I was 1 spot from qualifying, but
Really?
never made it. But I kind of knew better. But I figured I was going to go watch, so I'm going to drag the car there and go watch from the pits after I don't make it.
You know, in your Pierce Modified, have you always been a Pierce mod driver, or have you had different chassis over the years?
My sport mod, it was I don't know if you ever heard of a Smiley's.
Smileys, oh yeah.
It was an old Smiley swing arm car, and it was a real good car. Actually, won a lot of races with that whole thing. Won a championship with it. Sport mod.
I don't even know if they're still making Smileys.
You know, I don't know.
I've heard of Smiley's racing products.
Yep.
Now, I assume that's the same company.
Yep.
But the chassis,
Yep, their house car, I guess, kind of a deal.
Yeah.
You know, they just slap their name on something that they build in the back every once a year or whatever they do. But I'm sure there's not a whole lot of them floating around.
no.
So.
I've been told that the Pierce cars are naturally a tight car. Do you find that to be the case with your Pierce, or is it not really?
Yeah, I mean, they make it pretty, like what I run was a Z-Link right rear, spring on top. Tim run a Pierce, and he was, coil over 4-bar all the way, you know. So we kind of run a different package. So mine was really good and slick. It was tight, you know. Can't speak for his, which I'm going to drive now, so I'll be able to tell you here in maybe a few months. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's more of a slick track car for me. But that's kind of what I'd rather be. I'm not a big hammer down kind of a driver.
Are you an open motor guy or a crate motor?
I'm an open motor guy, so I'm different all the way around.
Oh,
Yep. Do the crates.
you don't do the crates?
Haven't
Do you-
had one. Not to say I'd be against it, but just haven't had one yet.
Oh, well, you know, you can finance a car now.
I've heard. I was kind of had thought about it a time or two, but now it's not my deal. I drive for somebody else, so
Well, they can finance it.
yep, that's totally up to them. So
I mean, yeah, it's not a bad deal.
no, that's why I'm here.
To buy a car?
No, because they support it all. You know,
Oh.
they support me, so I got to come support them.
Do you really think, you know, now we're talking about drivedirtcar.com where you can finance a sport mod or a modified, but when you take that element out of the equation altogether, what's your thoughts on the crate? 16-year veteran's gonna have an opinion on a crate.
At first, I thought it was going to be a joke, and now everybody's winning with them. I think the big fast tracks, I think you almost have to have one. Darlington, it's its own little, I think you've heard, it's kind of an egg shape, real tight one,
Yep.
2, and it's right next to a river, and it can get real heavy, tore up. I don't know that I've seen them making a lot of success in a place like that, but not to say they can't, but
Right.
there's just not that many of them out there.
I do
Around
think,
here.
I do think on your 3/8 mile or smaller tracks, I don't think the crate has an inherent advantage over a good open motor. With that being said, you still have to have a good open motor.
Oh yeah.
You're not gonna go build a $1,000 open motor and be able to compete against the
Right.
crates. Not saying that you have to have a $8,000 open motor either. But I do agree. On the big 410s or bigger tracks, you're gonna have the crate. You got the
Yeah.
back 2 barrels that open up, you got that spoiler on the back.
Yeah, we went so far as last year when I owned my own equipment. I had a vacuum secondary 4-barrel on the thing, just because I knew if it got slick, you know.
How'd you like that?
I don't know if I was sold on it 100%. It was the first time using it. It wasn't adjustable from the cockpit, and that's where you like it, you know.
Yeah.
Because you get halfway through the race and you wish you had it turned down a little bit, you know. It's nothing you can do, so you
Right.
kind of have what you have when you get out there. So I don't know. It's against the rules to be able to adjust it in IMCA. So if you could adjust it while you're racing, I think it would be the way to go. But you're guessing,
Absolutely.
you know. Otherwise, what's the track going to do? How much time do I have? You know. So you may as well just have a straight up 4-barrel or just throw the 2-barrel on and go back there and hammer it. You know.
Yeah. You know, being a racer in UMP, you got to use that lot nicer tire.
Yes.
than IMCA lets us.
Yes, yeah, these tires they're different. They're I don't know. It's tough to go, because I went from the late model, went from open late model tires to the IMCA late model tires, so that was a pretty big change. and you go from the IMCA late model to the mod, even smaller tires, it's a learning experience for sure. So.
Well, I want to touch on that. Back home, I've seen probably 6, 8, maybe 10 drivers in the last 5 or 6 years. They were in the late models, and then they've never been in a modified, and they stepped down to a modified. And one driver in particular, I will not mention names, was actually crying in the pits one night. This driver was saying, I have driven late models, I know how to drive a late model, I get into a sport mod, it was actually a sport mod, an IMCA sport mod, and I cannot get this car to work, turn, do whatever. How can you come from a late? But I've seen drivers come out of the modifieds, and they'll go up to the late model, and they'll have success.
Yep. Yeah, I think anybody who's going to be successful is going to be successful no matter what they're
You don't think it matters?
I think it probably helps, but there's some guys that race with us that can race late models, race mods, run them the same night, and can be just as fast. They're just good at anything. Some people just have it.
Yeah, not me. I'm not junk here. So, but we.
He doesn't give himself enough credit, to be honest. He's just starting out. He'll be fine.
Well, yeah.
Everybody gives him a lot of slack, but I tell him he'll be fine.
It's actually kind of fun to give him slack.
Oh yeah, well.
I mean, it's the only person I know that gets more slack than I do in racing.
Yeah, well, he takes it well, so I guess that.
Oh, he takes it very, very well. Yeah. So, 2016, where do you plan on racing this year?
I think so far the plan is probably Darlington, Farley, and then just kind of wherever the wind takes us. If there's a special somewhere. We might
Super Nationals, IMCA.
I doubt Super Nationals. I really highly doubt that.
B-Mod Nationals up in Minnesota?
No, I don't think we'll be going that far. We don't like to go too far. It's going to be, if we go 2 hours away, that'll probably be the furthest, So it's going to be too much traveling, not enough time. This Friday night thing, Darlington, it's tough when you get off work.
Oh, yeah.
Get in your car, years before when I owned my own equipment, and you got to either go home and load it, or, hook the trailer on, or do whatever you had to do. Leave work early some days when the boss wasn't looking, and now I just grab my helmet and suit and just meet the car where it's going to be, so that's nice.
How old are you now?
33.
33. You look like you're 26.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, I'm 41, and people tell me I look like I'm 26 all the time, so.
I agree.
Come on in, Chumley. You're good. So, in 5 years, let everybody out there know where you see yourself at in 5 years. Would you like to go full-time late model? Sprint car maybe?
I really don't have any. When I was 18, I had a lot of hopes and dreams. Now I just do it because I enjoy it. I have a 3-year-old, going to be 4 this April. I would imagine in 5 years that'll be my focus.
So you're not focused on actual true weekly points racing?
I haven't been in a long time. That got to be too much work.
Well, a lot of people back home know I've always been a weekly points guy. Mm-hmm. To me, I like to know where I stack up against the competition over a 10-year time, and that's where weekly points racing comes into play. Yep. But it's kind of interesting. You're not much younger than me. You gave up on that, and you're just kind of doing your own thing now. Is it really that less stressful to?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was nice when we had a track close to home. I could race there for points, and that was a lot of work. And that was only 5 miles away, And to really be good, I think anymore, some of these guys are just so good. You've got to race 2-3 nights a week, and I first of all couldn't afford it, and didn't have the time to dedicate it. Would have loved in a different situation to be able to, but with family and everything, it just wasn't real practical. And I'm not the next Jeff Gordon, never pretend to be. So I really don't just see wasting my younger years just running all over hell and back, chasing the dream. But
just have fun. And
just go have fun, and like everybody else says, if it's not going to be fun, why do it? So.
Absolutely.
And so there's still nights, even when you're not chasing points, like it gets old. You have a couple bad nights in a row. Season starts off wrong. It's easy to get in that, man, I should just quit. You go through that couple-year deal, and maybe this year's the last. And I really actually thought last year would have been the last. into some difficulties, and luckily Tim decided he was going to go do something different, and so I got an opportunity, so I thought I'd take it. We'll see. Maybe it'll be a year, maybe it'll be 2 years, but I'm looking forward to it. Gonna have fun.
There you go. So they want to follow you this year? How do they keep up with you, see what you're doing at the track?
I lay low. I'm kind of just
Under the radar.
Yeah, I'm the underdog, under the radar kind of guy. So
Just find the 35 in the pits.
if I'm 35, or I'm sure be on the Get a Pro Motorsports website too. They'll keep track of us. So.
All right, sounds good. Folks, that's the driver, the number 35 Pierce modified, Nick Downs out of, are you from Lena? Freeport, Illinois. So I'm Buddy Ray. This has been Slingin' Dirt. We'll be back after these messages.
Come to Diamond Auto Detailing to get your car showroom shine again for $149.99.
Nick Downs, he's gonna go pretty far in the sport. Pretty good guy all around. Want to get to something that people like to either thank the promoter or chew the promoter's ass a lot. Week-long cancellations.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's something that's got drivers riled up already.
Yeah, a lot of drivers.
Which, I don't know. I see the promoter standpoint on this.
Well, let's be honest. No, let's be honest. I'm gonna call you out on this. Because coming here today, you didn't like the week. But once I explained it to you, now you say you see the
It depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Like this time it was cold weather, so okay, I get that. But to just, oh, we're not gonna run July 4th just because. A lot of drivers plan that race.
Yeah.
They plan a weekly race. So to just, oh, we're not gonna do it. Give us a reason, a legitimate reason, instead of, I just don't feel like unlocking the gate today.
Yeah, especially when the drivers and the teams, some of us can pull hundreds of miles to come race your track. I've been to a track. This really upset me. We get all the way there. Now, there was a chance of rain. We all take that inherent risk here in the Midwest. It can be sunny and 80 out, and all of a sudden a thunderstorm is going to pop up. We have no control over the weather. So knowing that there's a chance of rain, we get to the track, we see the storm clouds. It doesn't look real menacing. It just looks like a garden type shower, not a big deal. They had the gates locked. They open up the gates. They check every team in. They get all the pit pass money. We all get our cars unloaded. We know it's gonna rain. Common sense tells us it's going to rain. It did, for maybe a minute, and it wasn't even enough to leave standing water on the track. At that point, could just about any track roll that in?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
The worst part would have been, do you have to roll the pits in, or were the pits good enough where
pits
throughout the night they could have
It's
been all right?
grass with a rock center lane.
Okay then. You don't have to worry about getting stuck in the mud.
No. But you've also, in your 18 years of racing, you've been to those tracks where they've got a dirt pit. And how many times did they either lay out straw or suck it up, boys? They went and rolled the track in and they went racing.
Well, Super Nationals is a prime example of putting straw down.
Oh,
It never fails. There will be Hurricane Boone at least one time during National.
every year.
But then here comes out the hay and the straw to help fill in the water holes and the mud holes. And
Talking about Boone Super Nationals, every year that I've been there, we've seen temperatures almost so cold it could snow. And this is no joke. Temperatures so cold it could snow. heat so bad you could have a heat stroke, the extreme wind, you'll get every form of weather in that 1 week, every year in Boone.
Never fails either.
It never fails. You're right. I mean, it's gnarly. But if Boone can take it to the point where, well, 2015, it was flooded. People were swimming in the pits. I mean, we're not talking just waiting. They were swimming in the pits. They raced that day. Now, I think a lot of that also, to Boone's credit, is their drainage system. They have a really top-notch drainage system. But I remember going out to I-80 Speedway. Ed Kaziski was chest high in water down into turn 3, going underneath the water, unplugging the drains. Everything cleared out by, I don't know, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We raced that night. Now, Ed Kaziski is no 4'2" munchkin. He was a tall, 6'+ tall guy.
And I think I remember that because they wound up getting the grader out and grading the pits.
Yep.
Just so there was enough surface that could dry out for the night.
Absolutely. Now, the reason why I asked about the week-long cancellation, I'm going to be honest here. The spring meltdown, I-80 Speedway. Joe Kaziski cancels the races a week in advance. A lot of people thanked him. A lot of people blew him up. I actually see Joe's side of this. It's early enough in the season. You know, here last week when we were recording today's show, it was 85 degrees on a Sunday. That Monday morning before we got in here, it was 32 degrees.
Right.
We're talking a 50+ degree swing overnight. You know, stuff's gonna freeze up.
The ones that are complaining about this cancellation right now, we got plenty of racing to do this year, guys. And unfortunately, some of you are gonna be the same ones complaining at the end of the year that it's too hot, the season's too long. But just shut up.
Yeah, we got plenty of racing.
Take with what we're dealt. We all have to deal with it.
You know, I used to be the guy that couldn't wait to get on the track. Couldn't wait to get on the track. Oh my God, it's February 1st. I don't care if there's 8 inches of snow. We gotta go racing. And now I've learned to sit back and go, oh.
We gotta race when we race.
We're gonna race when we race. I might wanna take this 1 week and go back over the car with a fine-tooth comb. I mean, you've been watching my race operation. I've actually gone back to the fundamentals of getting into racing this year with my cars. And it's worked out, you know, beautifully. I'm enjoying the time off. I know I'm gonna race, and I know I'm gonna race a bunch this year, hopefully. So, but with that being said, you know, enjoy this time off because, like you said, the guys that are complaining now are gonna be the guys that are complaining later in the year, you know, well, we needed to go to another race, or we needed to race one more night, or oh my God.
Well, and if you want to race as much as possible, if you can, race 2 nights a week, 3 nights a week, 4 nights a week. There's plenty of guys that do it because they can. But if you want to race that much, if you're able to, go out and race. I mean, buddy up with, find somebody that wants to go with you, whether on your crew or take their car. Just go race if it's that big of a deal to cancel a race. Then find a track and go race.
Look at Jamie Songer and I. We want to do the Roads and Toads tour. Yep. So that'll be interesting. Wait till he finds some toads in his car. Well, I didn't say that, did I?
I didn't hear a thing.
No, I didn't hear that.
They might have heard it, but
No.
I didn't hear it.
So, you know, before you go knocking on promoters for canceling a race a week early, look at the extenuating circumstances. Here it is, it's March, late March, early April. We're talking 50-degree swings at night. Joe Kaziski didn't want to see anything break or bust because, God forbid, the same people that wanted to race had re-raced and they went into the bathrooms and there's exploded toilets because everything froze up. Well, then Joe is out even more money, and then he's got the same people bashing the track because, well, his toilets exploded. I mean, it's a no-win situation. But on the promoter side, look at the amount of money that Joe saved by canceling the races up front. There's no track prep going on for that week. He knew it was gonna be cold enough it could freeze pipes. You know, and when you get into the season and you do cancel a show, and you've had somebody out there at the track all week prepping the track, somebody there cleaning the facilities up all week. You're out lost wages, you're out insurance, you're out this, you're out that. And even though Joe Kaczynski canceled the races a week early, I know he still incurred some costs there on that. So, you know,
Well, it's
keep an open mind.
and another thing with this whole cancellation thing. You can be at the racetrack, they can flip that switch to turn the track lights on, and there's no power.
Yeah.
For some reason, the lights aren't working, something in the box, bad switch, whatever it is. Tracks will try to get the lights on, they'll try to get things going the rest of the night. Sometimes it doesn't work, and next week you're into double features. Well, now you still got people pissing and moaning because, well, we couldn't race tonight and we pulled all the way up.
The nights that we have double features, I actually kind of like those nights. You know why? It's almost like a special, a poor man's special.
Yeah.
Really. You never know what's going to happen from one feature to the next. And it adds a little drama to the excitement because, well, do you race hard in the first feature and just as hard in the second feature? Or do you save your car for the first feature to race it harder for the second feature? How do you, I always like the double feature nights. But that's a whole different subject. So I tell you what, we're going to be taking a break. We're going to come back and, well, we're going to talk to somebody who's double jointed. That ought to tell you what our tech tip's going to be about. So we'll be right back here on Slingin' Dirt. Hey everybody, welcome back to Slingin' Dirt. Let's just get to it here on the tech tip. The most double-jointed man in racing, Mike Bennett out of Dynamic Drivelines. I don't know why. I was thinking drive shaft, 2 U-joints. He's double-jointed. Tell you what, U-joints, the world's smallest little piece on the car that might have the biggest amount of performance on the car per size of part.
You see that.
You ever seen guys go out and get a brand new drive shaft? They'll put it in the car, and they take the old U-joints out of the old shaft and put it in the new shaft? I've seen that happen before.
I've seen it happen too many times, and for the cost of the U-joint, put a new U-joint in it.
Yeah. I mean, you got to put a U-joint in it anyway, so why would you go through the twice as much work taking this one out just to put it in the new shaft? Just go get the U-joint.
If it's good enough to reuse, go ahead and tape it up, put it in a bag or something. Use it for a spare.
Yeah.
Not as a U-joint in a brand new shaft if you don't really need to.
You ever had anybody tell you, Matt, well, I'm doing about 7,000 RPM and, well, it's like I'm sitting in the car going like this. I got a small vibration. And you climb underneath there and you can take the drive shaft and wiggle about 6 inches up and down.
Probably time for a U-joint.
Yeah. Well, I just put the drive shaft was good. I took them out of the drive shaft and put them in the new one. I'm like, really?
When did you grease them last?
Oh, you got to grease those? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a common answer, unfortunately.
That's weekly maintenance 101. Grease the U-joints. There's a little thing, it's a tube about that long, about that big around. You pump it, it squirts grease up into the U-joint. That probably looked really bad on Slingin'. It's about that long.
Well, you got the U-joint out. While you got the grease gun out, you might as well go ahead and hit the U-joints because you probably just did the ball joints too.
Oh, you mean there's ball joints on the car? Yeah. You know the drivers I'm talking about.
I do.
Yeah. Well, what's those funky looking little nipples coming up out of the metal pieces?
You're not getting milk out of them.
No. So, yeah, so without further ado, here's Mike Bennett with Dynamic Drivelines on U-joints.
Here's today's tech tip. Let's talk about some U-joints. This is the standard, everyday, greasable, U-joint that everybody's ran for years. I mean, it's got the greaser and everything in it. This is the newest one out there that we like to use in a lot of our stuff now. What it's a non-greasable, it's got a sealed cap, and it's got a different double lip inner seal. But the biggest thing about it is it's got a neoprene washer inside of it that takes up all the end play in it. And then you can put these in and run them literally 60 nights without ever having to do anything to them.
Mention some of the names that have been known to run these.
We've had these in like Bloomquist car. Justin Kai won the IMCA National Championship and Dairy Brothers last year with them. Andy Bryant down in Missouri won the USRA Mod Championship with these U-joints in last year.
Now, talk about price points on each one of these.
This one here is only about $4 or $5 more. This one here will cost you about $28. And this one here is about $5 less.
So pay an extra $4 or $5 for the U-joint. That's just a little bit less maintenance on the U-joint side of it too.
Yep, and it's a lot. The tolerances stay there. You can run these without ever having any vibrations or anything.
Now, with that being said, you're talking about some late model drivers, and you had the B mod driver. So I assume you can use this in IMCA with your sport mods, your hobby stock, stuff like that.
Yep, this is for the short and narrow rear end in the back, or the quick change. Or every standard slip yoke up front on the front of the drive shaft takes this U-joint.
Now, how many folks out there are selling these fancy U-joints, Mike?
These are pretty much, we sell the most of them around here. I mean, there's a couple places down south, but nothing. This is pretty much an exclusive.
To Dynamic Drivelines.
Yep.
There you go, folks. Get on board with the U-joints.
Well, like I said, good advice from the most double-jointed man in all of racing. Mike's gonna be calling me up. Seriously? Really?
Well, and if you got questions on, like we've said before, drive lines, U-joints, gears, call Mike at Dynamic Drivelines.
Oh, great guy, most down-to-earth guy. He will always take the time to answer any question you ever have. It doesn't matter how big or how minor of a question, he will answer that. Now, let's talk to the man that almost needs no introduction himself. Todd Cooney's best friend, Kurt Peters' brother-in-law, Jamie Songer. So here's Songer Says.
Warning, the related content may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Okay, so earlier we discussed on an earlier version about, look at my wrap, look how good the car looks. Oh, I got the spindle put on today. Big day in the shop. Okay, so we got a lot of spring specials. And here's my challenge to all those. Look at my pretty wrap. Oh, it looks so good. You guys did such a great job. I want the same people to go out after the first 2 specials of the year and say, oh, look at my wrap. The drivers at Beatrice or the drivers at Memphis or the drivers at Donaldson did such a good job. They did not run into me and did not scratch my oh so pretty wrap. This ought to be fun. I mean, can you imagine? You guys are racing for a whopping $400. $400, maybe $5 in the hobby stock division, maybe $700. I'm offering $2,000 to win an enduro. I mean, you get $1,000 for 5th. But anyway, I want to see all your first 2 specials of the year or first 2 races. The same people who put pictures, and I'll put a picture of mine when it's done, not a big post, just a picture, and say thanks. And I'm not gonna go, oh, update from the shop. Not gonna do it. But I wanna see your first 2 after the races pictures. And I want the same enthusiasm as it's all crunched up and scratched. Oh, look at my pretty scratched car. The number 4 just ran into me 17 times, or the number 9, or whatever number. Just ran into me, but my car looks so good. Thank you, number 8, for running into me 9 times. Thank you for all your help today, making my car look the way it looks. That will be fun posts. That will be humorous. That will intrigue me. And then I want to hear how it all went. You know, oh, the flag man must have been confused from his 6 months off. He couldn't see nothing. Or the corner guy, he's an idiot. I mean, let's just start out right. Let's just start out the Iowa Bitch Fest with the Bitch Fest. Let's complain about every single thing that we think might have went wrong on the first 2 races. Because hello, it's Iowa or Kansas or Minnesota or wherever else you guys race that are colder temperature climates, and the ground ain't gonna be perfect. The promoters and the track prep guys are gonna do the best they can, but they can only do so much. But hell, you're all gonna bitch about it all year anyway, so why not just start out bitching about it? Oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. This guy flagged the wrong. He should have black flagged, or he threw the yellow when he shouldn't have. Blah, la, la. I mean, let's hear it all. Let's just get it going. And remember, I want pictures of, oh, look at my pretty scratched up, dented wrap after my first 2 races of the year.
Good old Jamie. He never ceases to amaze me.
No, that's why I'm sitting here kind of speechless.
Yeah. I really think his number 1 word, though, is really.
Really?
Really. You know what his second number, or his number 2 favorite word is?
What do you got?
You may have to bleep this out, but I think it's called dumbass. Really? And I'm surprised Jamie never throws his back out or his neck out, because he's like, really, 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 really. It's like every time he goes really, he goes one step farther back in the seat. So does that mean if he's out on the track racing his hobby stock, he's looking at the guy going with him within 2 laps, the guy in front of him, he's going really, really, really. If you watch the Songer Says, I'm serious, for all the viewers out there, watch Songer Says. When he goes into that really charade where he's going really, 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 he'll be like, really, 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 really. So if he's racing, is he racing like, really? No wonder he goes airborne. He's looking at the sky.
At some point, I think the back of the seat in this pickup's gonna break because he's pushing on it so hard.
Well, he does have a nice Ford dually, but I did wonder what that bubble was in the front of the pickup box behind the driver's seat.
Well, now you know.
Well, I figured Todd Cooney was sitting back there, but it might be, Songer going, really? So, Songer wanted me to tell everybody out there, he did enjoy all the updates. Keep them coming. He really liked watching Sonia Brunson post pictures of the car. There were some sport compacts on there. R Modified was on there. So he really, even though he comes across really growly, he's the world's biggest teddy bear, Ask Kennedy Songer. And
he told me that he didn't get enough updates.
No.
It didn't occupy enough of his time. So if we can send him more updates, that's what he wants.
Track promoters, send updates to your track. You have a rules amendment, hey, have at it. So, I tell you what, that's Slingin' Dirt for this week. We're gonna be back, same bat time, same bat channel, me and Matt next week. So, hopefully we'll have our backdrop up. So everybody's been waiting to see that. So, well, see you next week.